Hello everyone, this is TheNelston. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm here to talk about one of my personal favorite builds in Wynncraft, the tierstack Thunder Fire Air Melee Archer build. Now you might be wondering, why am I talking about a melee build for archers? The main reason is pretty simple. This is an extremely cheap build. Most items won't cost any more than 16 LE total, and it doesn't feature any items from endgame content, for example, Kira, Li, and so on and so forth, which makes it very accessible for new players. But despite the accessibility, it is still an extremely powerful build that boasts over 25k DPS and 128k EHP. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into the video. Before I talk about the stats of this build, let's go ahead and take a look at the items that comprise it. So we have Nephilim for the helmet, Sorthay for the chestplate, Second Wind for the leggings, and Nether Scar for the boots. For accessories, we have Flashfire Knuckle for ring number 1, Breeze Hands for ring number 2, Flashfire Gauntlet for the bracelet, and Pole Starter for the necklace. Now with this one, I do want to say that you can switch it out for other options. For example, you could go for a Diamond Solar Necklace. So this would offer a little bit more survivability and also a little bit more fire damage compared to the Pole Starter. But I'm using the Pole Starter mostly because, well, it doesn't require any difficult content to unlock. So that's why we have that. And finally, the weapon is, of course, the Anthracite Ballista. Now on this weapon, your main goal is to try and go for a decent main attack neutral and main attack damage percentage roll. I just have a high health and lifesteal roll because this is not my primary build and I'm only really going to use this for raids nowadays. So I prefer having more health because obviously getting Stonewalker is a great way of boosting my damage in raids, whereas Giant is not necessarily as reliable. Now that we've talked about the items that make up the build, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the different stats on the build. Starting with the melee stats, you can see that the average DPS is about 25.5k, which is insane for something that doesn't have any powders or anything else like that. And of course, the attack speed is super fast, and a single hit on average will do 5.9k damage to a mob with no elemental defense. Now looking at the overall build stats, we'll see that the effective HP is 131.9k or about 132k. Effective HP, even without any agility, is going to be 47.8k. So even if your agility never procs, you will still have close to 50,000 effective HP on an archer. HP regen is 0, meaning you won't be gaining any health, but you also won't lose any health. Now, the reason that regen, I say, doesn't really matter is because you have pretty good effective lifesteal. 59% on the exploding means that it does a reasonable amount of damage to crowds and actually has decent crowd control. And of course, I think this is probably one of my favorite parts, 104% walk speed bonus. Yeah, this is a very, very fast build, and I'll show you that in just a second. But what this means is that not only do you have a lot of survivability, you have an insane amount of walk speed, so you can really kite and strafe around your enemies. So you might be saying, okay, Nelston, that's a pretty decent build, but how about you actually show us what it does? Well, first off, right now I have the speed boost from Escape, and yeah, you can just see I move very, very fast. In fact, if you compare it to a horse, this is a maxed out upgraded tier 2 black horse, and even on a horse, right, I am moving at about half the speed of just running while sprinting. So this is a pretty insane walk speed build, and this is without the best possible walk speed, right? In fact, I didn't really even try to build walk speed. It kind of, like, look at that, right? That's a Sorthay with a 26% roll on the walk speed. It could go up to plus 39% walk speed. Same thing here with the Nephilim, right? I didn't really try to build walk speed, but even though that's the case, it is insanely powerful. Now, what about in terms of damage? Well, I need to get to Kira Hive and I'll show you guys the build against Kira, but if I just go on one of these poor dwarves, you'll see, yeah, they kind of get destroyed. And that's with me holding down right click. Now, the thing about Minecraft is that it doesn't really register your right clicks very well if you're just holding it down. So in order to get maximum DPS with this build, you have to spam right click. So if I spam right click, this is going to be the DPS. Yeah, kind of just deletes mobs. Now the main thing to note is that Kira does have a lot of elemental defense, so she does tend to be a little bit harder for this build to take down easily. But you'll see that with my speed, it's pretty easy to dodge most things. Even if I get webbed, it's pretty simple to get out of it. And already, even though I'm not really aiming for her, I'm not really, seeing where she is, I've already done a pretty sizable amount of damage to her first phase. So the way to play this build is pretty simple. You're basically just going to run around whatever area you have, try to hit the main target as much as you can with your melee attacks. And if you do get hit, you take some damage, you can always just, rely on your lifesteal to get you through. So we're now on stage 3. You can already see that it's only been a couple of minutes, I think, into this fight. My hand is starting to get a little bit tired from repeatedly spamming right click at 7-8 CPS. Of course, if your hand gets tired, you can just hold down right click. You will do a little less DPS. It's hard to imagine a playstyle that takes less effort than this. So yeah, hopefully you aren't complaining. And there we go. Hero solo, no problem. Of course, I am level 105 and I do have 200 stat points at my disposal, but still, right? So, in conclusion, this Thunder Fire Air Melee Archer is not necessarily the best build in the game, but the reason it's one of my favorites is because of how accessible it is to anybody that wants to use it, because of how powerful it is, even in endgame content, for example, raids, and overall because of just how ridiculously fun it is to use. Even if you aren't someone that really enjoys playing melee stuff, I highly encourage you to pick it up, because I understand, spell spam might be the meta in a lot of cases. But, well, it's spell spam for a reason, right? You're clicking like crazy amounts per second. It can get a little tedious, right? And sometimes it's just fun to unwind with a stupid build that somehow works. Well, that about does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. Leave a like if you liked the video, leave a dislike if you hated it. Subscribe for more content like this, and as always, I will see you guys in the next video. Have a good one.